We have had it said a million times that education is the greatest equalizer. But equalizing what? We have had it said by philosophers like Victor Hugo that he who opens a school's door closes a prison. Even Nelson Mandela said, the greatest weapon you can use to change the world is education. But have we changed the world through education? I invite you to join me on a campaign to reform the education system as we know it in the developing world by building entrepreneurship academies that will give young men and women readily employable skills that they will have after when they graduate out of college or out of high school or out of primary school. But first, who am I? I'm James Arenaitwe, a son of a peasant farmer and a primary school teacher. I lost my parents before the age of 10. In fact, my entire family. However, I was fortunate enough to secure a sponsorship by the facility of my country to get my high school education and eventually to secure a sponsorship through the US to get my college education. But the most important thing was during high school when I witnessed my first entrepreneur, my principal. He admitted students from all walks of life, poor students, wealthy students, middle class, lower class, those who could afford, those who could not afford. And he put us together in his own dream, which he thought that every child in Uganda should have a quality education. We all went to school together, went to classes together, but something that the poor students did that we never did. After school, during school holidays, the students would go back and he would train them to be builders, carpenters, construction people, mercenaries. They learned all these skills that they used to support the school and support their expenses. When we graduated out of high school, even though some did not get a chance to go to university, they came out of the school with employable skills. Some became mechanics, some were already designing tables and furniture, some were mercenaries, some were already constructing and working on buildings. This is the idea that I'm suggesting. The idea that primary school, high school, tertiary institutions of learning in developing countries need to focus on the young men and women, give them employable skills when they come out of school. Now, is this idea feasible? Yes, it is feasible. I want us to build on the already existing models, like for example my high school principal, the barefoot colleges that have been created in India, the education systems that have been created by BRAC in Bangladesh and Africa and Haiti. We can build on those existing models, create an entrepreneurship academy or program, and train these people so that if there is need, for example, in Uganda, we lack 40% of our people lack clean water. We can teach people to harvest clean water. For example, we lack healthcare. Most people live in rural areas, cannot access hospitals. Why don't we train people to be community health promoters, something that BRAC is already doing, so that they will graduate as nurses, as physician assistants, or even physicians to go back and provide healthcare for their people. We depend so much on agriculture in my country. Everything, about 80% of my population depends on agriculture. Why don't we train people to have those tools to go back into their communities and train agriculture skills, better ways of farming, so that people can be able to produce not only enough for their families, but also sell some to support the economy. This is the idea that I'm suggesting. And why do I focus on the youth? The recent report by the UN showed that the youth unemployment in the world is staggering. 12.6% of the youth are unemployed in the world. In sub-Saharan Africa, it's over 80%. And in Uganda alone, it's about 33% according to the UN and the World Bank. And so if we don't focus on the youth, especially in development, not only are we ignoring them at our peril, but the challenges of the 21st century will not be overcome by ignoring the youth. And so that's why I'm saying we should focus on the youth, give them education that will empower them to have tools not only to help themselves, but also transform their communities, because the youth have the passion to do that. Now, I invite you to give me your comments, your suggestions, but also if you want to explore this idea further, I am willing to send you my paper and work with you to further help our youth, give them skills that they will use to transform their communities. We have heard it said that the youth are the future. But if we don't give them the tools to be the future that we are hoping for, then that future is bleak. It's one philosopher, Epictetus, who said that the greatest aim of education is not knowledge, but action. And so I'm asking you that we should give these youth not only knowledge, but also the ability to act in their communities. Thank you.